flying like birds while you try to capture it, but we see the same bright star. We share a dream and sing with one voice. I am, you are, we are Lasallian.
This property over here in the UK makes me
A very good evening to all parents. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us this evening. We will be starting shortly. I'll be passing the time over to Mr. Goh. Mr. Goh, please.
Right, very good afternoon to all our parents. I hope you all can hear me. It's the first time trying the Google software. So I'll just give a couple of minutes while I think other parents are still coming in. I just want to thank everyone for taking this time on a Friday evening to be with us. Especially as we begin this new year, I thought it's important that we speak to the P6 parents first. So you'll be the first group of parents that we're engaging. Okay, so maybe let me just run through the agenda. The next slide, please. Right, so I will highlight some of the things that our boys will be going through in P6. I'll share a little bit about our PSLE scoring system for those who might not be familiar. We'll talk a bit about what happens after the PSLE with the full subject-based banding system that is now being implemented. And we talk a bit about the choice structure under the new system, our affiliation policy, and direct school admission, which will be coming up soon. So there might be something that will be of interest to parents, right? And then I'll say a bit about, kind of like my own advice about preparing for the PSLE. Okay, right. So next slide, please. So we will continue, in our school to sort of advocate the 7 habits among kids using the Leader in Me program. So we do want to use the 7 habits to remind our kids really be proactive, whether it's about learning in class or in CCAs or in friendships, to begin with the end in mind, put first things first, and so on. So the 7 habits continue, in fact, will be quite important for them to live out this year. And again, want to reinforce the importance of 7 habits really for effective living and to achieve the success that they want. We will also have an ECG program, or what we call the Education Career Guidance Program, at the end of the year. And that's also a time when, after the PSLE, when the kids are like, okay, what do we do next? And what happens after secondary? So we've got old boys who have come back to share with our boys their own story after they left St. Stephen's, what they did, where they went in their careers. So that'll be quite something usually the boys look forward to, and there's also the time when the boys have all sorts of, right, to really engage our old boys who come back to share them, potential career paths, to help them start thinking about, where they might want to go next. we've just completed our Start Right program. So we didn't start off with the academic work right at the start because we do feel it's important for boys to settle into the new year, especially to set goals, to set up all the class routines, and sort of talk about the expectations of P6 with the teachers and so on. So, but that was in the first 3 days of school, and I believe most of the boys would have jumped straight into work, and I'm sure homework is already starting. Yeah. So we also talk a bit about some mental skills, resilience and well-being programs. So we do have programs to talk about motivation, managing their own emotions, and so on. I think that will come up in term 2, right, during our experiential learning week. At some point, we will continue with our sexuality education. This is the compulsory MOE program, also for them to examine, what it means to have an identity as a boy, what are some of questions that they may have, and so on, right? And after the PSLE, we also have transition to secondary school talks. So we invite secondary schools to come and talk to the boys. We will also help them to explore what are the options and so on. And then, of course, there's a whole slew of post-exam activities, which usually is the time that the kids really enjoy. All right, after the PSLE, after a whole year of stress building up, and we'll finally end with the graduation day. All right. Next. Okay, before I plunge straight into the scoring system and all that, I think the team is trying to sort out the question and answer system. So if you have a question along the way, I encourage you to try to post it in the chat, and we will try our best to answer them along the way. And I just want to thank everyone. There are quite a number of you fielded questions that I hope we should be able to address tonight between myself and our year head, Ms. Lee, and among the form teachers that you'll meet later. Okay, so let's start with the PSLE scoring system. So in the old days, we had what we call the T-score, all right, and kids would get like 2, 7 something, and there'd be like a very high score, or, to get into certain schools, it's to get into Express, you need 200 and so on. But that system has since been superseded by the new PSLE scoring system. So it is set up as an achievement level. So you see the word ALs, or you hear the phrase a lot. So ALs refer to the achievement levels, and the score is obtained by simply adding up the 4 ALs of the 4 subjects: English, mother tongue, mathematics, and science. Right. So the perfect score would be AL1. All right, that's the highest score you can get, and the lowest score you can get is AL8. Right. So if you add it all together, the maximum possible score you can get is 4. That would be like the perfect score. And the least possible score you can get is 8 times 4, which is 32. All right. Okay, so one next. So the scoring bands, they are not exactly uniform or evenly distributed. To score AL1, we're looking at 90 marks. And this is what MOE publishes as the indicative range. The actual range, I'm sure internally MOE will have their own way of adjusting. But I think this is a pretty close estimate to the range bands that we are thinking about. So the first band is a 10 mark range. The second band, band 2, AL2, is 85 to 89. So it's a 5 mark range. And AL3 is a 5 mark range again, 80 to 84. And AL4 is again a 5 mark range. So that's 75 to 79. And then it starts to widen a bit. All right. So AL5 is 65 to 74. AL6 is 45 to 64. Some may say, is it a fail grade? No, there's no real fail grade. I'll explain to you the failure or the promotion criteria, the pass criteria shortly. Then it's AL7, which is 20 to 44, and AL8, which is less than 20. Okay, next. So to pass the PSLE, Okay, you see at the bottom of the table, you must pass in EL, or you must get AL7 or better in only English and math. So you have to get AL7 in English and math. All right, to pass. That means to progress on to secondary school. So depending on the score range, so if they score between 4 to 20, they are grouped into what we call posting group 3. All right. In the old days, that would have been the express stream, right? And score between a range of 21 and 22, they have an option to go into group 3 or the next group 2. And I'll say a bit more about this. So sometimes you need to think harder about this. Otherwise, we might not get the desired posting outcome that we want. So this is a kind of no man's land group, kind of neither here nor there. And then there's clearly the group 2. So group 2, again, in the past would have been labeled the normal academic group, and that's 23 to 24. And then again, there's another mixed band between group 2 and group 1 at just one score range of 25. And everything below that is between 26 and 30 is group 1, or would have been the normal technical range. All right, but that's provided English and math score both a 7. So what happens if they don't score a 7 in English or math? They would have to repeat the PSLE or repeat primary 6. There is an option for them to go to a specialized school like Northlight, but that is something that we will need to discuss with individual parents if that's something they want to consider. Right? Okay, so next slide. So how will the posting work? Okay, so so it goes like this. All right, so it will be based on academic merit. All right, so basically the ones with AL4 will get a first choice, then followed by 5, 6, 7, 8, and so on. All right, so and so imagine all the kids, not just from St. Stephen's, but they gather across the whole system. All the kids we put in a pool, and all the fours will get their first pick. And if that school is full, then they have to move on to the next school. And at some point, as a school fills up, they have to move on and on and on. All right. So what it sets up actually, for what we need to understand is the setup is that it is a demand-driven kind of cut-off point system. So that cut-off number will vary from year to year. Okay, and it's something I'll come back to in a while. So what will happen is if two kids get the same score, MOE will use the following tiebreaker in the following order. So Singaporeans will get higher priority, followed by if they have placed that school that they desire at a higher choice, and then followed by, all things being equal, it will go into a computerized random balloting. Okay, and that also played out in the last PSLE posting, and I'll share a bit about that in a while. Okay, next slide. Okay, so here's an example. Okay, so let's say you have 4 kids here, right? Jane, Brian, Mary, and John. Okay, so let's say Jane. Okay, let's say Jane. Jane has a score of 16, right? You see her holding the placard, right? 16. So Jane scores higher, Brian and Mary scores 20, and John also scores 20. Jane, Brian, Mary, they're Singapore citizen, and John is a PR. So what will happen? Jane, being at a higher score, will be posted to school A in her list first, right? Because she, by merit, will be higher. And assuming Jane has taken the last place in school A, so as Jane has taken the last place in school A, Brian and Mary and John, having the same score, will vie for the last place in last available spot in school B. Now, if in school B, Brian puts school B as first choice, but Mary did not put school B as first choice, so Brian will get it first. All right, and all things being equal, if between Mary and John, who is a PR and Mary is a citizen, then Mary will get the priority over John. Okay, I think the example is quite self-explanatory. Okay, but just to know that that's how the system will prioritize the posting. Okay, next slide. So the scoring, so what happens if your boys are taking a foundation level subject? Okay, so what MOE will do, they will have a kind of translation table, all right? So under the foundation level subject, which actually is only, in our school, only quite a handful of boys, right? So the vast majority are taking the subject at standard level, so this may not apply. But for those taking the foundation level or mixed subjects, um, the foundation level will have three score bands: A, B, and C. A is 75 to 100, B is 30 to 74, and C is less than 30. All right. So if you score a 30 C in any subject, that's considered to fail. That fail. Okay. All right. Next. So for the purpose of posting, they will obviously need to make it comparable across the foundation and the standard. So there's a mapping table, and it looks like this. So if you score a foundation level A, it will be the equivalent of 6 in the standard range. And likewise B, the equivalent is a 7, and so C is 8. And likewise, if they had scored 8 in, let's say in English on the standard, that would have been deemed to be a fail. So likewise, C in foundation will also be a fail. Okay, next. So what will happen? They will aggregate the scores across the 4 subjects using the mapping table. So if in this case, let's say this student has standard English, standard science, but taking foundation mother tongue and foundation maths, and he scores 3 BB5. So what will happen? The B will translate to a 7. So it's 3 plus 7 plus 7 and 5, and that's 22. And after that, they don't look at the individual subjects, they just look at the 22, right? So 22, and then they will go into the posting system, and that will be the same as everyone else. Okay, next. So what happens if your boy is not taking local mother tongue, or you're taking a foreign language, French, German, Japanese, or you are taking a some other, if you're exempted from mother tongue, for example, and you don't sit for the paper. So how MOE will manage the computation is they will determine, they will assign a mother tongue score, all right? And the mother tongue score is, the reference is made to the other subjects. So what happened is they will compare other students, other candidates in the whole system who have a similar score range, as in, if let's say the English, math, and science, they will find kids with a similar score range for English, math, and science, and they will aggregate and average that across all the kids with such scores, and they will assign them the kind of projected score that these kids would get. So that's the kind of score that they will get, right? So for kids who are exempted from mother tongue, however, there is a cap of 6, and so likely they will either get 6 or 7 as the proxy score for the mother tongue exempted kids. Okay, next. Okay, so we just need to understand this. So that why they have this system is to ensure some parity, all right? And then for kids who are really who need to get exemption from mother tongue, there's also an acknowledgement that the kids who did strive to take the mother tongue, they did put in a lot more is required of them, and so they do want to recognize that kids like that should have a higher score range. Okay, right, next. So so just take note lah. So that the mother tongue score, the cap is 6 to 8. All right. So that's the point. This slide is just explaining what I said earlier. Right. Okay. So now we move on to choosing a secondary school. Okay. So before you know, as we start, I mean, maybe thinking about it now, I'm sure the boys you would want to talk to the boys about next year, where would they want to go, and so on. And I think it's a good time to help them think, begin with the end in mind, as we say in 7 Habits, so that, they can take proactive steps now to work towards that goal that they want to go to. So there are many things to consider, right? the interests of your boys is primarily the I think the key driver. The other things to consider, like, what's the school about? Is it something about that school's culture and ethos that really appeals to you? Especially for us in the Lasallian school, we highly encourage our boys to go on to continue their education in a Lasallian school. And for us, there are kind of like two options. One is SJI, and the other one is St. Patrick's. Um, they are similar in yet different, right? Of course, SGI has will take in kids at a higher academic range, and St. Patrick's will take kids at the general academic range. I won't say they are lower academic range, but they take quite a broad range, right? Um, Also, what kind of environment are you looking at? Some want to continue in a boys' school, something maybe a co-ed school is better, and so on. And we also want to look at the distinctive programs that the school can offer, especially the DSAs, and especially if your boy is very talented or very gifted, or wants to develop a particular area, you can go to those schools, and you can find them in the school finder. I mean, the other issue is also about distance and so on and so forth, right? Those are other considerations. Okay, next. Okay. Um, so now we talk about the subject-based banding, right, in the secondary school. So for a few years now, they have already implemented the subject-based banding, all right, where they kind of blur the lines between what was traditionally NA and NT courses, right? So what happens is it provides the students with some flexibility to take subjects at various levels. So if they're very good at, let's say, English and math, they may be offered, yet they may be placed in posting group 2. They may still offer the subjects at the higher level. So again, the nomenclature is the same. The higher level subject is called a G3 level subject, and the G2 for what was previously academic and normal academic, and then G1 for what was previously normal technical. All right, so that's the new system. Okay, next. So for kids, let's say within once they get into the score range of 4 to 20, they will offer entirely G3. All right, so that's the typical express level combination. But if they are in like 21 and 22, so there could be some options for some subjects. Some subjects may be G2, some subjects may be G3, and you are 23, 24, they will take majority G2, but there could still be one or two subjects at G3, and then and so on and so forth. Okay, next. So how would they consider? What would they consider? So let's say they had AL5 or better in the standard subject. Let's say in English, but they ended up in posting group 2. They will still have the option to take the subject at the express level. Okay, so that's where it's mixed. So in when they go to secondary school now, especially for example, in St. Patrick's, um, every class is what we call a heterogeneous class. So you will have boys who are G2, some boys in G3, some boys who are in G1, and they're all they take common subjects in the form class. And then when it comes to the academic subjects, they would go to their respective G level class. So whether it's G3, G2, G1. So during common periods like PE, art, music, they will stay in class together as a class, and for other subjects they would sort of split up into different classes. The next. So a student scoring an average, say overall score of 23 AL5 in science, will be placed in sort of the NA course or the G2 course, posting group 2, and then but he will be eligible to take science at a more demanding level. Okay, so in this case, although he's 23, but can still do science at G3. All right, and as they go along, let's say in Sec 1 they kind of do well in the G2 course, and I think different schools, they will at the secondary school they'll brief you on the cutoff. They can then progress to G3. All right, so it's still quite porous. So even if they kind of don't quite make the mark at PSLE and they go to G2, all is not lost. So we also must try to help manage the expectations of the boys, and don't overly stress them. All right. The PSLE is not the end. It's just the transition to a next stage. And at every stage hereafter, the system is very porous, as in you can keep moving up, you can also move down. Right. Okay, next. Okay, so some of the criteria, like I mentioned earlier, is AL5 for G2 and so on. Okay. All right. Next. Okay, so likewise, if they, so some subjects where there's a direct mapping, they can offer the subject like English, mother tongue, math, and science. But subjects like history and English, they may not, there's no direct match to a PSLE subject, so they would likely not be offered at Sec 1. But if they do well, from Sec 2 onwards, they can be transferred to a higher, a more demanding level. Okay. Okay, so now we talk about affiliation. I guess because we are affiliated to St. Patrick's and SGI, the policy of affiliation does apply to us. And the new policy is that every school, every secondary school, must reserve 20 places of each cohort in each course to non-affiliated students. All right. So, for example, in St. Patrick's, they can only take 80% of our students directly in PSLE from affiliate schools, and they have to reserve 20% for non-affiliates. Now, this sets up a bit of competition for places for our boys who are affiliated. Okay, right, next. So, affiliation to St. Patrick's, right? So last year, the cutoff for Group 3, and this is something that I think we must be cognizant. So just because you get 20 points, you think express cutoff, I'm good, I can make it to St. Patrick's. Unfortunately, that's not the case. So every year, it gets the number would rise or fall. So last year, in 2024, okay, I mean, just kudos to our previous batch. The batch did very well. I would say that. So, but because they did very well, it sets up more competition for places in St. Pat's. So even at SGI. So last year the cutoff was 19. So what happened last year? I think about 20 odd boys who got 19 applied for St. Pat's as first choice. Only 6 got balloted in, and the rest were not successful at the posting. But later on, they appealed to St. Patrick's and they got in on appeal. But whatever it is, they need to get 19 to get in. If you got 20 and you appeal, and even if there's vacancy, MOE would not allow it. MOE will only allow up to the cut-off point for appeals, right? Okay, so what happens if you're in 21 and 22? So if you got 21, your boy got 21 and say, okay, maybe I'll try for the G3 group or want to go to the express level kind of course. At 21, likely, if you apply at 21, you say St. Patrick's first choice, you will not get St. Patrick's. They will go down to your second choice, third choice, fourth choice. Because at 19, all the places are already taken. But you can't say, okay, I've got St. Patrick's. But now can I switch to and group 2 now? No, cannot. All right. There's only one chance to get to St. Patrick's. So you decide whether you take the chance of group 3 or you take the more secure group 2. And that's the general advice I give to all parents. If you're thinking of going to St. Patrick's and the boys score like 21 to 22 and you're offered maybe I try my luck go to the G3 course very often and in the last 2-3 years especially they were not successful. So I would highly advise stick to the, I mean MOS is now 21, 22, 23 really is more suited for the group 2 course, right? And even then in group 2, if they get in and they did well in other specific subjects, they can still do well. So which is why I would advise no point taking the risk. Yes, there's some years that St. Pat's cut off actually went to 21. And yes, those people who put express or G2/G3 and put G3, they would have gotten in at 21. But in other years, that's not the case. In any case, when you go in the G3, you have to take all subjects in G3 and sometimes extra well. Right. So just put that in perspective. Okay, next. So affiliation to SGI is a little bit less contentious. Basically, as long as you get 12 points, 12 points, regardless of whether the SGI is full or not. All the affiliates will get 12 points unless all the affiliates in Singapore all get 12 points, then it creates a ton of pressure. If not, for the last few years, based on the demand, anybody with 12 better will get into SGI's O-level program. Now, SGI offers two programs, so I just want to clarify that this only is quite clear of the O-level program. The IEP program, there is no affiliation to the IP program. Just a bit of background on where SGI was offered the IP. Maybe the next slide, please. When SGI offered the IP program by MOE to start the program, it was very clear. All the IP schools in Singapore, regardless of whether it's ACS or SGI, no affiliation offered. Right. So for IEP, you strictly have to follow the MOE month license. So last year the cut for SGI IP was 7. Alright. Some years 7, some years 8. Right. So it varies. But last year was 7. And 7 was a very close call. Right. Because I think again like metrics 4 or 19. There was a situation where only a few 7 got into the SGI IP. Okay, so basically what I want to highlight is that this is just foreign just get some metrics. And again last year was 19 points, so just and maybe you can watch the stock market first, but in for express normal or G3, again my advice, if you are very you want to be very conservative, save stick to the G2 option. Okay, right, next. Okay, now, final thing about the aviation is that priority is very important. Okay, let's say you look at scenario 1 and cost table. Scenario 1, you give the first choice as SGI. O-level or centric, you will get aviation priority to SGI, whatever you put. And in the second scenario, if you put SGI O-level or centric, second choice. Let's say I'm not very sure you want SGI and centric. As long as two choices on the number two choice position is centric or SGI, affiliation priority will apply. Now, complicated is SGI IP has no affiliation priority. So if you give SGI IP as first choice, and SGI as second choice, they will still recognize the second choice. They will not like bar you from the affiliation. So SGI IP first choice is one of the rare distributions that your affiliation is not affected. Okay. So likewise, you put SGI as first choice, you put SGI O-level centric second choice, you put centric SGI third choice. All three affiliation apply to choice 2 and choice 3. Okay, so this is the only way that we give our school given our unique circumstances. Okay, next. So another example. So if you first choice SGI IP and SGI O-level, affiliation apply. Right. You put SGI O-level SPS, Patrick, and yes, the affiliation apply. You put SGI and Patrick in some other school, yes, affiliation apply to choice 1. But if you put some other school ahead as SGI or centric, affiliations will cease to apply. Okay, so again, this happened to some other kids, right? So there was 1 year this kid got 7. He placed a certain R school first choice. He didn't get the R school. He put SGI second choice. At which time he would have joined the SGI's public pool, and then getting it in line with SGI, not the bets, and so on. So I just want to say that you need to think carefully about your options when the time comes. Okay. Right. So why am I telling all this? So that the kids know. Okay, we need to set a goal and target. Okay. Right. Next. So very quickly about DSA, I'll just say very quickly without going into details. That now the DSA has been sort of centrally controlled by MOE. So you can't like go shopping around to different schools. So I'll just skip to the next slide, right? So basically, take note that sometime in May, early May, the DSA will open, right? All right, and then that's the time you can send your choice. You have one month window, 4 weeks, and you must get it in. And the closing dates usually the first week of the holidays, early in June, right? And you have time to go and visit all the open houses and so on. The trials and selections will happen in July, right? Now, the SOTA and Singapore Sports School, right, are the only two schools you apply directly to. Right? Everyone else goes through the central DSA system. Okay, next. Okay, I just go to the next slide. Okay, when it comes to choice, okay, let me just go to the next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Okay. Okay, I will explain all these things in the table. Next. Next slide. Okay. All right. So what happens is now the policy is that you can only apply in any given school 2 talent areas. Right. So for example, if in this example, your child is very talented and quiet, they can go to school A, school B, school C. That's a valid entry. And you can only make 3 entries. All right. And if you think, okay, I really want to go to this school, so I try choir, I try orchestra in school A, and then maybe I'll try school B, choir, and that's okay as well. So you can only apply to 2 areas in a school, 2 different areas. Now they say no, I want to go to this school, school A, school B, school C. All right, this will not work. Okay, they will only give you 2 choices. All right. You cannot have all 3 in the same school, not allowed. So this would not be a valid submission. Okay, so take note of this policy and restriction. Okay, and that's what the previous slides was trying to explain. Next. Okay, so do choose the schools judiciously, lah. It's quite important. And once you accept the posting, once you accept the offer, it is final. All right, you cannot say, oh, I suddenly score perfect score 4. Now I want to try another school. Cannot. Once you accept, you have to commit to the school, and you have to commit to going to that CCA in that school. You can't go to that school and say, I'm going to try another CCA. All right. So no data is required because all the data will be fed from school. All the P5, whatever data at P6, and all the NSG data and so on, SYF data will all be centrally collected. All right. So no testimonials or letters of recommendations are required. We will come around April, May. We will check with you just to update and make sure all the data in the system is correct. Okay. So the P6 teachers will come to you around May to sort of give you a sense of what are the things that the other schools will look at when you make the application. Okay, next. So that's about DSA. Okay, and when DSA comes around and they're shortlisted, they call for interview, they will get a chance to go and meet the school and so on and so forth. All right, so just to round up what my segment, try to inculcate, growth mindset in the kids. It will be a very stressful year. Even if you are chill and you don't pressure them, and during from the school, we don't pressure them. But kids being kids, they will also see their friends, getting worried, and they also know, that the PSLE is a big determiner in what happens next. So it will be quite stressful for them. Do inculcate this growth mindset. I can't do this, but use the power of yet. So you can't do this yet. So, look at habits, keep at it, put in the effort, don't give up. All right. And help them to summarize their learning every day. So I've been trying to teach them about recall, right? Recall practice, retrieval practice. Every day, try to retrieve what you learn. And that will help you daily rather than cram at the end, right? So something regular, help them set up a place to study, help them set up a regular schedule to study, right? So encourage this positive behavior in class, right? Some kids, they goof around in class, they're inattentive and so on. So, remind them every day. Ask them, did you pay attention today? What stood up for you? So have that conversation, what's going on in school for them. right? Help them plan their study schedules. Boys, not all boys are gifted with this ability to plan and organize. So sometimes it's good to help them sit down, manage the time for them, manage the energy with them, right? So like I say, I mentioned to the boys, retrieval practice is very important. Recall, like, what are the 3 stages of this life cycle and so on. So just retrieve all the time. If you keep doing that over time, no problem, right? You spread it out. Again, just be aware of any over reliance on tutors. And many boys will tell me, "Oh yeah, you know, I went to study." So what do you do? Oh, I went for tuition. Oh, so do you have tuition? Oh, I just sat there, and then the tutor just do the work. Lor. I don't know. I just let the tutor do. I said, "Do you learn anything? Lah? Not really. The tutor will just let me be." Uh, so just be aware. Lah. Going to tuition doesn't equal
就
learning.
是没办法，你
Yeah.
2只脚不一样大。
Okay, next.
对
Alright,
啊
so what can we do?
对，我再加一个那个。
I think you can keep channels open with the school, keep in touch with the teachers. If you're concerned something's going on, speak to the teacher first. All right, let the teacher be the, nobody wants to, hear complaints that you didn't even get the teacher a chance to explain themselves first, right? Before you complain to the year head or whatever. Okay, so speak to the teacher first. Try and get help them understand what's going on and help them to solve the issue that you're concerned about. All right. So encourage the boys to talk to you, assure them, and build a sense of confidence. Help them to go and balance the time, the stress, go swimming, go cycling, go running, walking, and so on. Right. Manage our own expectations as parents. I know sometimes it's very difficult, especially if for some of us, maybe your academic path in life went very far, and you cannot accept that my child will not get as far as me. And I think that's something we must learn to expect, that every child has their own path in life, and the child's success or failure is not a reflection of our own success or failure as a person or as a parent. We just need to accept that every child has a path, and we must believe that God has a plan for them, all right, whatever that plan is, and be at peace with that. Okay. Next, of course, and last, finally, I always advocate, let's pray, and nothing else relate to a higher purpose. Okay, so that's from me. I'll hand over the time now to Miss Lee.
Okay, good evening, all parents. Thank you so much for taking the time to actually join us this evening. I'm Miss Lee, the year head for Primary 6. Okay, and I'm going to share with you a few things. The level focus, what I've spoken to the boys when we have our Start Right program just a few days back. And then a few things that, we might want to do with them at home. So let me share with you. Okay, so the Primary 6 level focus is actually striving and rising together. Okay, this is actually reflecting our belief that every student can succeed, and that is with the support of parents, teachers, and as well as their peers. So let me take you through 3 things that I have emphasized with them. Okay, how can they strive and rise together? So I shared with them about this respect, responsibility, and resilience. Why respect? Because respect, together with empathy and understanding, helps in building better and stronger relationships. And this is really important because generally connections with others help them to thrive, not only in school, but elsewhere, everywhere in life. Next, responsibility. It allows the boys to take ownership of their actions and learning, which can lead them to make better choices and get better results. Next up is resilience, which is essential in developing grit and perseverance to bounce back from challenges, maintain focus, and stay determined while pursuing their goals. This is especially important this year, as it is a crucial year for them. And it's something that I think we want to have close in mind, and also to help them get through the year. So let me share a bit more with you. Okay, how to build better relationships. So what I've shared with them is that it's important to show respect for everyone, as well as the learning environment, which is the school. Okay, wherever they are learning, okay, ensure that it's a conducive environment. So showing respect is very important. It is also important to show empathy, so as to understand others better, to have self-control. Okay, sometimes our boys do get upset. Sometimes they get disappointed, but it's important that they control their emotions when they're frustrated or upset, and do let them know that it's important for them to stop and think before they speak and act, and to make the right choices. So this is something that was shared with them that you might want to share with them, to actually speak with them at home if you need to talk to them about self-control. So what is it all about? This is something that has been with them since primary 1 actually. In the FTGP, we have exposed them to this, the stop, think, act. So firstly, it's like stop what you're about to say or do. Okay, when you're upset, when you're angry, then there's this space where you can actually think about what you're going to say or do. Decide if it makes the situation better or worse. And what we tell them, always choose the behavior that will make the situation better. Okay, choose the win-win situation. Okay, next up, responsibility. How can we encourage them to be more responsible? So one of the important things is that for them to be proactive, to follow the rules and routines that have been set for them. Importantly, listen attentively during lessons, to be present. Embrace every class session as a learning opportunity. Next up, managing their time wisely. It's important to put first things first. What's important for the day? One example I've shared with them is that they might want, when they are at home, what's important is that they handle their homework first, settle their homework before they actually play, okay, or take the time to rest. Okay, then next, complete and submit tasks and homework on time, and to be accountable for their own actions. Okay, next one is how can we encourage them to be more resilient? Okay, this is very important. They do come across challenges every now and then, so it is important that they stay calm during challenges. Encourage them to keep a positive attitude when facing difficult tasks. What Mr. Goh has mentioned, have a growth mindset, believe in the ability to improve with effort, practice, and persistence. And when something doesn't work out, keep on trying again and again, and view mistakes as opportunities for growth and learn from them. Okay, next, I think it's important also for us to tell the boys that it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to seek guidance from teachers, family, or friends, and to ensure them that we are always here for them, and we are always here to lend them a listening ear, okay, and also a helping hand. I think it's really important in this crucial year because they really need our support and many times our listening ear. All right, so stay focused on the goals. We have reminded them to be adaptable when faced with new situation or unexpected changes. And I think as parents, it's important that we celebrate small wins. Okay, when they see small progress, to encourage them, praise them, celebrate with them. Okay, more importantly, this is really important. Mr. Goh has also mentioned this. Believe in the power of yet. Okay, let me take you through why. Okay, because generally when you have this thing about the power of yet, it actually encourages growth mindset. Okay, growth mindset, and instead of feeling overwhelmed by challenges, they can actually, it actually takes them through a part where I've not mastered this yet, but I can do so with persistence, with effort, and also practice. So how can you help them? Check in with them, talk to them about their day in school. Ask them, how's your day? It is important. And sometimes they will share with you, okay, how their day has gone, and be supportive. Use positive language when communicating with them. Encourage positive self-talk. Okay, so if, for example, they say that I can't do this, I'm really upset over this. So you can actually tell them, correct them and say, you can't do this yet. You can actually learn and do it when you actually put in more practice, more effort, and get around to asking them, how can we help you, okay, to actually do something, okay, for example, to learn a certain topic or something. All right, so praise the process. I think it goes a long way, praising them, and as I said before, celebrate the small wins, and model the growth mindset. Okay, and yeah, and with that, I would like to thank you for taking the time this evening for joining us today. You can now go on to the form teachers Google Meet. Mr. Go, is there anything else that you'd like to add?
Yes. So sorry. Let me get the camera running. Right. So I just want to thank everyone again. And if you, Mr. Heng has been answering some of the questions. I apologize if we can't take the live question. But if you have any questions, you can continue to post in the chat, and we will answer the questions, and we will send all the replies to all of you sometime next week. Okay. Yeah, so just want to wish all of you a good weekend, a good year ahead, and a good session with the form teachers. All right. Okay. Thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Thank you very much. We will send the slides over once we have collected all the questions. We will send it sometime next week. Thank you very much for joining us today. Have a good evening.